Okay, Robert, welcome to Black and White Photography. It's great to have you on the show. Folks, I think you're going to see some great photographs, and he's got a little bit of he's really, they're so technically beautiful and just beautiful generally. We're going to have to find out how Robert shot these photographs. Robert's in Colorado, Denver, Colorado, if I'm correct. Is that right, Robert?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, super. So give us a little bit of your bio. How long ago did you start photographing? And I'm assuming you still work a lot in black and white, but if you work in color, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with color photography. So a little bit of your bio. How long ago did you start were you a photographer?
Jim, I've been at it for probably more than 4 decades.
Wow.
And I've had some good fortune. I've photographed probably 5 out of 7 days every week. I'm a photographic generalist. I take my camera with me wherever I go, photograph quite a bit in color, but I've learned how to do black and white. It took me a while to look at a scene and to ascertain if it would look good in black and white, but I enjoy black and white, and I've had a lot of good luck in the photography community. I've been fortunate to have owned a gallery in New York City, photography gallery, and then have one currently in Denver. And so I've seen a lot of good work, had good fortune to work with a lot of excellent photographers, and it's been a good journey.
Well, you, after 4 decades, and that's about how long I've been in it, as I begin to think, yeah, it's about 4 decades. We've come through a real transition, haven't we?
Oh, yeah. And it's ongoing.
Yes, it is ongoing.
So with the AI, I don't do any de novo work with AI, but sometimes I'll ask AI to merge 3 or 4 of my images that I've had difficulty merging, and it does pretty well at that. But I just dabble in AI a bit.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I dabble in it, and I don't want it to get away. Although it certainly is part of the creative process now with the new Lightroom plugins. I mean, it's almost difficult to fail, isn't it? Yeah. So anyway, Robert, what I'd like to do is take a look at some of your photographs, and for the equipment nerds out there, and we certainly have those, what type of camera have you been using recently?
Well, I don't use something that's terribly expensive. I like the Leica cameras and the low-end Leica cameras. The lenses on the Leica are really very, very good. So for years, my go-to camera was a Leica Deluxe 7, maybe cost a little over $1,000, and now a Leica Deluxe 8. If I need more lens, I'll use a Sony that'll have a zoom, quite a large zoom, and those are the 2 that I use predominantly at the present time.
Super. Okay. Well, with that equipment, and Leica's always a good equipment, but it just goes to show you to do beautiful photographs. You certainly don't have to spend a lot of money, do you?
No, it's the eye and not the equipment, I believe. Primary.
That's the real camera. Okay, let's take a look at this first photograph. For those just listening in on the podcast, this is a beautiful rendition of garlic, and it almost looks like a sculpture. It almost looks like it ought to be someplace. I get to Paris a lot, and it ought to be on one of the pedestals someplace. So, Robert, describe this photograph and what you were attempting to achieve here, which you certainly have, and generally speaking, how you shot it. Did you shoot this in a studio, or where did you do this at?
Well, you're going to be underwhelmed when I tell you how I shot this. So we have a small farm in Nebraska, and my partner, she's a great gardener. So not to be left out of the scene, I started farming garlic. And these are hardneck garlic. You plant them in the fall, harvest them about this time of the year. And then once they're out of the ground, you let them dry and for a week or two, cure, as they say. And then they're ready to go. So these are hardneck garlic pulled out of my garden at a farm in Nebraska. And I put them down on a kitchen counter with a velvet background, stood on a chair with my Deluxe 7 in ambient light at a f-stop of about 11 and handheld. And this is the result. Took about 20 or 30 images. I would say about a third of them were very good, tack sharp, right on. And I believe the image conveys some texture.
Oh, believe me, it does. It's beautiful. Did you do a lot of, did you manipulate in Lightroom or Photoshop? And that's okay. But I was wondering, did you up the contrast a little bit?
So I use Lightroom Classic. And if I go to Photoshop, which I often do predominantly for cropping, I sometimes do an automatic curves correction because curves can be a bit tricky. And I did that, and maybe a slight touch of contrast, not a lot. But I prefer to use a pretty light touch in Photoshop or Lightroom. So sometimes in time gone by, I would use one of the plug-in apps, FX or something like that for color, but I think it sort of, or for black and white, excuse me, I think it sort of overdoes it. So I think less is better in general in Photoshop and some of the apps you can use with it.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Let's take a look at this one. This is really abstract. These reeds, folks. These reeds are beautiful. You've got two triangular shapes, and I don't know, Robert, was this done in a studio? Now you're going to underwhelm me again, I suppose. I was this done in a studio, or how did you manage this shot?
So this was taken in a remote area in north central Nebraska, the Sandhills of Nebraska. That's a 20,000 square mile area that nobody's ever heard of or gone to. It's just fabulously beautiful. If you, it's one of the 7 remaining contiguous grasslands on our planet. And it has one of the lowest population densities in the U.S., less than 1 person per square mile. But these beautiful grass-covered sand dunes, and it sits on top of the Ogallala Aquifer, which was formed maybe 10,000 years ago during the Ice Age. So between the dunes, water's pretty close to the surface. And in a lot of areas there are concentrations of these reeds. And so you can see a huge mass of reeds, or you can use a longer lens to focus on something pretty simple. And that's what I was trying to do here. So it was out in nature, walking along the shore of one of these unnamed pools of water that bubbled up from the Ogallala Aquifer, trying to find something simple. And I took maybe 10 to 20 different compositions. And there was very little wind, so the reflections were pretty right on. And it was a great day. It shows you can get good photography in the middle of the day with harsh sunlight, which usually doesn't happen. But anyway.
Well,
So this I did manipulate this looked very good, straight on. It was black reeds on white water. But when I was in Lightroom, I went to Photoshop and I inverted it. So you got white reeds on black water. They both look fabulous, but this looks just a little bit better to me.
It looks great. I think, as part of the conversation, as long as you bring your camera with you, there's a photograph out there somewhere, isn't there?
Now there is. You can always find something.
Now the dandelion shot. The detail in this is phenomenal. Once again, I don't know whether you did this in a studio, you were able to do this in a studio, or you were able once again to find it out in nature. How did this shot come about?
This occurred about a block from which is in urban area, East Central Denver. Each morning I walk our dog, 12-year-old Weimaraner, and I got about a block from home, and it was dandelion season, and there was one particular large dandelion a couple feet from the sidewalk, and I sat there and took maybe 5 images. And this was taken with the Sony RX10 with the lens extended a bit, and usually when you extend the lens on those, it isn't quite as sharp with those telephotos, but this turned out really sharp, and I was really pleased with it. So, walking the dog a block from home, a little bit of magic can happen occasionally.
Well, you're not kidding. And the background, did you have to do anything to eliminate the background at all? Nothing.
No, I had to move around a bit, so I'm always aware of the background when you're doing close-ups of flowers or other things, because the background can occasionally be very distracting. But I just moved around a little bit, and unfortunately there was a shadow in the background that, so I could add a little bit of black to the image, but the background was pretty clean.
Wow. Well, what a beautiful image. Very symmetrical, but just very, very clean, very sharp. Water lilies. I'm in Traverse City, Michigan. We have a lot of water lilies, and I did a whole portfolio on water lilies. And what I admire about these, I don't know if you remember the old Pac-Man games when they first came out, when we were probably kids, the games at the arcade games. And when I first looked at that, I thought, how did he achieve the symmetry? It looks like one of those games, but more importantly, all of these, you've got the little slit in the leaves. I don't know how you found this place. Well, how did this happen?
It does look like Pac-Man a bit, but I live about a mile and a half from the Denver Botanic Gardens, and I go over there with my camera at least once a week. And right now is pretty good for lily pad season, but I really head over there after or during a snow or rain, because bad weather is good photography. And so it was raining, and they have a lot of great water lily ponds over there. And this one happened to have pretty good-sized lily pads right up to the border, so I could stand right at the edge of the pond and lean over and shoot straight down on them. And so you got the water pooling, and you have these pads with a little cleave in it, and it turned out to be a good image.
Boy, it really does. Now, what I found when I was shooting my lily pad deal is that you really gotta do a lot of different shots. Did you find you did a lot of different shots around this particular area to come out with something like this?
Not this time. So this, you don't always know when you take an image, particularly black and white, if it's going to be what you preconceived. This one I was pretty sure was going to be good. And so this was a good day, and good images, water, and I didn't have to work this too much. But generally speaking, to get something unique for water lilies or lily pads, you've got to work the scene a bit. But this happened to be, didn't require much work. It was sort of something, F8 and be there. And it was a good day.
Sort of fell in place. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at our water cabbage here. How did you see this one, Robert? The water cabbage. Tell the listeners.
So this is the farm that we had in Nebraska, and the farm was pretty small, maybe 150 acres, but it had a year-round stream, spring-fed stream that ran through there called Medicine Creek. It was an old place frequented by the Plains Indians at one time. I used to go out every morning before sunrise and walk along the creek. And every visit, both sides of the creek, you could find something unique. So I was walking along and found this. I didn't know what it was, to be honest with you, but it had this great texture to it. And so I had to bend over and shot a couple shots, and this is what came out of it. Dumb luck, but, being out.
Yeah, the lighting's good. It's a beautiful photograph. And it's just cabbage, right? It's just a cabbage leaf.
I have to be honest, I'm not sure what it was. When I went to, I showed it to an extension agent, and he said, "You got me there." And then I showed it to another biologist, and she said, "It's got these feathery things around it, and I think it's some form of cabbage." So I said, "I'm calling it a water cabbage." And but who knows what it actually is?
Well, Robert, these were beautiful, beautiful images, and I think the listeners, what they're going to walk away with is have your camera with you, right? Walk around, take photos, and you said you have your camera with you, what, 5 out of 7 days a week?
Yeah, I go out and seek things. I go to the parks, or, when we had the farm, that was magnificent. You could find something out there all the time. It had the hills, sunrise, sunset. But walking the dog, you can find great stuff. Or out on the main streets, great street photography. But as far as having the camera with you, you know what Dorothea Lange said? The camera is a device that teaches you how to see better without a camera. So you turn into a pretty good observer of what's around you after a while.
Very words of wisdom, beautiful words of wisdom from a guy that's been doing photography for over 4 decades. That's really great, Robert. How can the listeners, or do you have a website they can go to see your work?
Yeah, so I post maybe twice a week on Instagram. It's at Robert Anderson Gallery 4. And I have robertjandersongallery.com.
Okay.
And we have, I represent about 25, I'd say, very good photographers. So Robert Anderson Gallery, they can see a list of exhibits and see some great work, great diverse work by a lot of excellent photographers at the gallery website.
Well, that's really great. And I appreciate you coming on the podcast. Sometimes it's difficult to get people to come on and talk about their work, but I think photographers that listen to the podcast, and over the years we've gotten like 20,000 downloads, I think they learn a lot from listening to photographers like yourself, people that aren't necessarily professionals that go out and try to make money taking and selling photographs, but people that just enjoy taking photographs and enjoy, that art form that fortunately has been with us for, 150 years or so. But I do appreciate you coming on, Robert, and hopefully, maybe we can show some of your other work, later as we move later on.
Sounds good. And I appreciate the opportunity, Jim. Pleasure to be here.
Okay. Thank you very much, Robert. You have yourself a great day, sir.
All right, will do.